Welcome back. Today, I want to talk to you about being precise in your reasoning while trying to answer questions, moral or otherwise. The reason why you should want to be precise is to avoid throwing the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. You see, not too long ago, I had conversations with a person who did just that, on two topics. The first topic was on women being in traditionally male jobs. The second topic was on premarital sex. To start things off, on women in traditionally male jobs. His position was that women should not be in these jobs because of the problems that come with men and women interacting with one another and the way those situations are handled. The example he cited was a complaint of sexual harassment that was mishandled, where a man was overheard saying something by a woman working alongside of him in the oil field that she found offensive. Apparently, the man had made a remark about his balls being hot and sweaty, and after the woman reported it, the man was fired for sexual harassment. The veracity of the cited example notwithstanding, I pointed out the problem wasn't actually the woman working in the man's job, but instead the way that people unjustly handled the situation that arose. There wasn't any problem with her being there, up until the situation was mishandled. And had the situation been handled correctly, then you wouldn't have problems such as that arising again. Now, the person did offer a rebuttal of, you can't change society. People's emotions/preferences will get in the way of them handling situations correctly. He was pulling that from the idea that people's empathy for the woman's situation would lead them to handle the situation incorrectly just because they have a preference for her. Now, I think that's a rather poor rebuttal for the argument I gave, because you're rebutting your own position as well. Because for his own position to be realized, he would necessarily have to change society to where women could not work in male jobs, or traditionally male jobs. It's actually a pretty disingenuous way of dismissing a point. The logical conclusion of that position is just to say that everyone should just shut up and deal with things as they are. And why it's true you should consider things as they are, things are that they ought to be such. So, anyways, the next topic was premarital sex. His position was that premarital sex was necessarily immoral because it can commonly lead to undesirable consequences. That's a slippery slope fallacy. Just because something can lead to something doesn't mean that it necessarily will. Again, citing problems such as the spread of disease and unwanted pregnancy as reasons that premarital sex is immoral is being imprecise. The problems are the problems. Sure, one is taking a risk that these things may arise, but you are taking a risk that you will be responsible for a car crash every time you drive your vehicle. That doesn't mean that driving your car is immoral. When you make imprecise moral claims, you are claiming that a just action is unjust, and to advocate prohibition of that action would actually be an immoral thing to do. Justice relies on the precision of our reasoning. Another case of throwing out the baby with the bathwater is anarchism. Now, I'm going to admit that I actually was an anarchist for a couple of years, an anarcho-capitalist, to be precise, in this video about precision. But the problem I see with anarchism lies in that anarchists tend to define the devil into the details. If you look at a government's propensity to do evil, and then conclude from that we ought not have a government, you're guilty of the exact same flawed thinking the person I was rebutting above was. Governments do evil, and can do evil, but so can people. But neither necessarily has to do evil. They aren't evil in the very nature of what they are. If people ought to be able to do what they want, provided they aren't violating anyone's rights, then they ought to be able to form a government that doesn't violate anyone's rights, correct? If I wanted to, I could delve into definitions, and there's definitive arguments against anarchism, but that doesn't really fit into the scope of this video. In summation, be precise in order to avoid making mistakes. Simple bits of wisdom like this can fix a lot of problems if taken to heart and applied. What do you think? Do you think that I'm wrong? Could I have better presented my arguments? Is my reasoning flawed? If you think so, please leave a comment down below or make a response video. I want this channel to be a forum of knowledge, and discussion really helps that along. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the little bell. I'll see you next time.